This is Better Business Coach, session number 19.
This is the Better Business Coach Podcast, your source for critical sales training, proven education, and actionable worksheets. All downloadable for immediate use. We work hard so you don't have to. Now your host, the rapid growth guy himself, Matthew Pollard.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Better Business Coach. My name is Matthew Pollard and as always, I am your rapid growth guy. For those that are picking up from the last interview, we are with JV Crum III and we're talking about the abundance mentality. So JV, I'm going to move straight back into it and ask the hard question that I know a lot of people have probably got in their mind. It's fine for you and it's fine for me. I mean, you've got an MBA, a law degree, a master's in psychology, a successful podcast, you're working on charities, and you've been very successful in a lot of your own business ventures. So for you to have an abundance mentality, I guess it's very, very simple because you don't need money today. What if that wasn't your situation? How can you be abundant when you need clients?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good question. And I'm going to have to ask you to stick with me here because ask yourself which is going to be the easiest way to get rich. Now, let's just get it down to the brass tacks here. Because to me, Conscious Millionaire is about becoming wealthy. It is about becoming rich. I celebrate becoming rich. And there's nothing wrong. If you think something's wrong with rich, you're living in scarcity mentality because you think you're taking it from somebody else. Otherwise, you know that your life and your family and all the people whose lives you can touch are better off if you have more money. It's just that simple. That's the way life works. Okay? So ask yourself, which is going to be the easier way for you to get rich? Sitting around thinking that you don't have much worth and therefore shouldn't charge much, or programming your mind on a daily basis. And that's why I've created this new podcast. You and I are talking about motivation, and it's 3 minutes every day, Conscious Millionaire Motivation, motivating yourself, putting affirmations in your mind, repeating them over and over in the morning throughout the day to program yourself into a positive outlook about what is possible for you, and then going out there and taking action. Which one of those paths do you think you'll enjoy more, which will bring more money in? Because I started out at 5, out in the country, a town of 300 or 400 people. My parents had no money. Listen, I just had someone here a couple of days ago who had grown up incredibly wealthy. And I said, I have a tea bag. I still do this. I create 3 cups of tea out of every tea bag. Why? Because I grew up in a family and we didn't have enough money for us to all have our own tea bags. We took in the morning and we shared the tea bag. And we made all our tea out of one tea bag. That's how I grew up. And by 5, I decided I'd had enough of this already. I didn't like this. And I said, I'm going to grow up and be a millionaire. And at 25, I had a 4-story luxury townhouse on the water with a Mercedes and had already made the first million. Why? Because in that place of poverty and difficult financial times and scarcity mindsets, where I went around and I told everybody at 5, when I grew up, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I'm sure they all went, oh, what a cute little kid, right? But I didn't care. And you've got to be of the same way. You've got to decide what you want and then start telling yourself you're going to get it, because that's the fastest way to get there. Not sitting around saying, I have to charge less or I won't find anybody. Decide who you want and go after it full force and don't stop till you get it.
That's exactly right. Now, look, the trouble with society these days is it's very easy to be comfortable doing what you do. So you can have dreams, right, aspirations of doing something one day, but again, you can always survive. You're not starving anymore. The government offers a lot of support. Family will offer a lot of support.
Oh gosh, I want to do my joke. Can I do my joke?
Of course,
I haven't done this in so long, and everybody can borrow it. It's a free joke. It's a free joke. It's so simple. There are no entitlement programs for millionaires, right? So you got to decide which side of the world you want to live on, because the truth is, it's a decision you make, right? Do you want to think of yourself as a victim? Do you want to think of yourself as, oh, I have to get somebody's got to give me something I'm entitled to? Let me tell you, you're not entitled to anything but what you choose to make of your life. That's the simple truth. Everybody I know who's highly successful, at the core of every day of their life is 2 words: personal responsibility. And what I want to tell you is personal responsibility is not a burden. It's a liberation. Because the moment you embrace personal responsibility as your path, you can choose any destiny you want.
I completely agree. And it's so key to this kind of level of thinking. Every person that I know of that came from adversity to achieve success, it came from a time, not when they were procrastinating or not when things were comfortable, but when their back was truly against the wall. I mean, Pat Flynn, because he's another podcaster, is a great example of this.
Oh, yeah, he's a great person.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And he succeeded because he got retrenched, his wife got pregnant, and he needed it to work. It had to work. And that is when all the answers come at that specific moment. A lot of the time, I will set myself high, far-reaching goals just so that I can set myself a target that puts my back almost against the wall because it creates that action for me to propel myself forward. And for coaches that struggle with charging a significant amount of money for coaching, the best way to do it is to decide that you're not going to do coaching unless you get this specific amount of money per hour or per group of coaching. You're just not going to do it, and you're going to go out and get 2 of those in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or set yourself a goal depending on what your work schedule is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you got to ask the right questions. And by the way, big questions are no easier to ask and answer than small questions. In fact, I find small questions incredibly boring. I'm not very excited about them at all. They don't get me motivated. If you go like, well, how can you make, a small amount of money? Let's just say, well, how could you make $1,000 today? Even that's not very exciting to me. If you ask me, how can I make 10 or 25 or 50,000, now I'm pretty damn interested. And I want to find out how I can do that, because I also know that means I'm going out and I'm adding that much value to the world, which for me, in my case, is actually the bigger purpose. Because it's why I started the podcast. It's why I'm doing the motivation podcast, is I imagine millions of people around the world every day for 3 minutes getting motivated to live better lives and achieve more in their business and be better entrepreneurs who are getting the results that they want. It really comes down, you got to be clear about what you want. Because when I was 5 years old, in a moment's time, I saw myself growing up to be a millionaire. And I embraced it so fully, felt it in my heart, felt it in my passion, that I was clear in that one moment that it would happen. I never questioned it one time. And yet, if you were to look at the circumstances in which I was living, you would never, ever have predicted that outcome.
Could I define it, JV, into a point of, you asked, how am I going to achieve this, as opposed to talking about the reasons why you couldn't and letting those become your alibi for why you don't move forward?
Yeah. And the thing is, I think it can be a tricky thing if you ask a question like, how do I get as much money as I deserve? Because the truth is, right now, there's a part of you that really believes you don't deserve more. So don't go there, because that's kind of a little trap. Instead, just get clear about what do you want? What do you want, right? Because that's a little bit easier, because if you say, I want to make $1 million a year. Okay, if you want to make $1 million a year, now start asking the questions, what would be the first step? What would be the big platform that I would need? What would be the program that we get there? Because if you want to make $1 million as a coach, we already know the answer is not one-on-one coaching. It doesn't mean you're not going to do one-on-one coaching, but the likelihood for most coaches that they're going to make $1 million from one-on-one coaching, there'd be a few, is now you're doing some kind of a group program, some kind of a mastermind. It may be multiple levels of a group program, but now you just know that that's what it is, and you probably want some products to go along with it, right? Because digital products is a whole lot easier to leverage. But your answer, period, is now you're asking a question about which way are you going to leverage? Because the only way you're going to get to the $1 million, it's you. And you got to leverage to get to the $1 million. But now you know what the path is. Now you start looking at all the different ways you could leverage, and what would they mean, and which ones would you be excited about? Because if you're not excited about them, don't go there. It's not your path.
JV, you offered so much value. That's why I was so excited about getting you on the show. And we could do this for hours and hours and hours. So it's probably just as well you have your own show, because you have just wealths of knowledge to share with your listeners. And as a listener of your podcast myself, I know just how much content you give out, and you've got some absolutely amazing guests. So why don't you take the floor for a second and share
like
people.
yourself. And I really want to thank you for being on the show.
You're more than welcome. I actually really enjoyed your show. You've got that little bit of a differentiation in the way you do things, and it's just a wonderful experience, and I really did enjoy it. But
Thanks.
Tell people a little bit more about your show, how they can find you, and I know that you've got a gift that you give people that come to your show, so feel free to share it with us so people can get access to you more often.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you can go to consciousmillionaire.com. The direct link for the website for the podcast is consciousmillionairepodcast.com. We actually have 3 podcasts. The third one is coming out in May. So that's going to be on health and fitness for busy entrepreneurs, which I'm very excited about. I have 8 recordings for that on Thursday. That's a very exciting avenue. And I'm doing that one because I'm taking pictures of myself because I went through a health crisis when my father died, gained weight, had all kinds of health problems, almost died. And so I realized that what occurred for me actually is that most entrepreneurs really are on a roller coaster. We're on a roller coaster. That's what it is. It's not a 9-to-5 deal. We're in a different world. And how do you have not just good health, but while taking that roller coaster, how can you have amazing health? How can you have optimum health so that you've got all the energy and all the vitality you really need, not just to be a successful entrepreneur, but to have a successful life and a long life? Because at some point you really need to start looking. The time to start preparing for a long life is today. Do you want to leave at 60s or 70, or do you want to leave at 80 or 90 or 100? Because they're all possible. And the people who are going to live the longer, and if you live long, right? If you live long, don't you want to be vital? Do you really want to be in a convalescent home? Because I don't. I'm not slightest interested in that. If that's the way I'm going, I'm not going to go at all, right? Not my interest. I want to be vital where I'm out there and hiking, and I can go to Nepal and I'm 80 or 90 years old because people can do it. And if they can do it, I can do it too. If you've got your diet and you've got your fitness and your health, all right, you can do it. Then we have Conscious Millionaire Motivation, which is 3 minutes a day to really get you empowered in your zone so you're fired up and connected with the infinite possibilities all around you. And I give you an affirmation every day so that you can achieve at your highest. And then our original podcast, Conscious Millionaire Podcast, you've been on. We interview successful entrepreneurs who themselves are conscious about how they're building their business. And it's for you, the conscious entrepreneur who wants to make a positive impact and create high profits in your business. That's what we're all about. Anybody who wants to really build a business and make a positive impact, and they want to learn how they can do that and create high profits, that's the person I want to talk to, because that's what I'm all about. That's the person I'm here on earth for. That's my niche. People who don't want to do that, that's great. That's wonderful. There are other paths for everybody on earth. I'm just here to help people who are on that specific path. And so what I'd love to give you is I have a manifesto, First Million Manifesto. It's about your conscious path to creating 7 figures. It's on the homepage at consciousmillionaire.com. Go there, sign up, get it absolutely free. It'll automatically send to you, read it, and then anything that we can do. We do webinars to help you out. We do free trainings. We have great emails. Anything we can do to support you, we want to do that because we want you to get your conscious message out there, make your positive impact, because that's what I believe every person's on earth to do. I think we're all here to serve one another. And when we get on a path of doing that, we're going to have the abundance. But even more important, we're going to have the abundance, not just outside, but inside. The fulfillment and the joy. You and I both know what that feels like. There's no bigger joy than helping another person. None. It's impossible. That is the greatest joy in life.
JV, look, I really appreciate you spending the time with my listeners. I know that so many people are really going to appreciate the wealth of detail you went into in each one of those points. And I'm sure it'll be spinning wheels inside everybody's head. So that was just exceptional. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for having me on the show.
You're more than welcome. It was absolutely my pleasure. So with that, everybody, thank you very much for listening to Better Business Coach Podcast. Again, if you haven't had a chance yet, please subscribe in iTunes under betterbusinesscoachpodcast.com. I'd really appreciate it. And thank you for everybody that has already written such tremendous reviews. You are the reason why we are currently the number 6 new and noteworthy podcast on iTunes. And I really do thank you for that. So continue to listen. We'll be providing you with more and more episodes with great guests like this, the ideology that you need, the training that you need to become the most successful business coach possible, and all of the worksheets downloadable from MatthewPollard.guru or BetterBusinessCoachPodcast.com that you need to take action with your clients right away. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Better Business Coach Podcast. Head over to MatthewPollard.guru for links, recaps, and any downloadable templates mentioned in this and every show. Also, if you've not already rated our new podcast in iTunes, we'd love your support. Simply leave a review and the star rating you think worthy. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Thank you in advance, and see you next time.